In the first video, we talked about a little bit about the intro, and we created our style CSS, the first button. Then we completed coding our website following these important instructions. Okay, now what we're going to do is we are going to build the necessary pages that make the WordPress work. First thing we're going to do is, as you can see, we are going down button by button. Let's create our index PHP. Now, if you look really closely here, PHP has something called includes. We're going to include a header file, and then we're going to paste our div structure here, and then we're going to include our footer. So, what we're going to do is, after we create our index, we're going to create the header. And you'll notice that the header has the meta tags and the shortcut and all the scripts and all the references to the style CSS and other CSS. And the footer is the end of the HTML document. So what we're talking about here is that when index PHP loads, it will go down to the code that says include header, and then it will include what's on this file here, the header file. And then as the page loads, okay, it's going to go include the header file. Then it's going to run our div structure that we're creating now. And when it gets down to this code, it will go over and run the footer PHP, and then go back and finish up the index PHP. So when it goes down, first of all, it's going to hit the header. It's going to load our PHP. And then it's going to load our footer PHP. Okay, and that's what those includes are. So all we really have to do here is copy that code right there in red, copy it, go to our Dreamweaver, create a new file, and it doesn't matter what Dreamweaver is offering you, because you're just going to delete it and paste that code in there. Okay, now we're going to save it as index.php, and make sure it's in your root folder. It's going to be index.php with a small I. It has to be index.php, not because I want to be a pick face, but WordPress will be looking for the index.php in your theme directory, so call it that. Okay, so here's our index.php. From now on, we will not be able to look at it in the browser, because these PHP files have to be viewed on a server that has the PHP module installed. If we were to look at this in the browser, okay, fine, let's look. You'll get something that looks like, well, it'll just get all discombobulated. It'll look like this, and it's a big mess. So we're not going to be able to view in the browser anymore for the rest of this endeavor. Okay, let's go back. And so here we have our index PHP. Now this is the cool part. Since the header information is going to be included and the footer is going to be included, all we have to do is go back to our index, our source file, and copy just what is in the container. That's right, just what's in the container. We can disregard the footer. We can disregard the head, the body. All we're doing is getting the code that we created for our client, all the way down to the closing container, like that. Copy it, go to your index.php where it says paste here, and pow, you now have your initial necessary file for WordPress to work, index.php, with the structure that you created. Okay, I'm going to save all. I'm going to go back to the tool. Now we have to get the header and the footer that's going to be included. So here's the header. I'm going to copy all the code right here. This is WordPress code. It's nothing that I wrote. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go file new. It doesn't matter. I'm going to create one because I'm going to delete everything that's in that file and paste the header. And I could probably get rid of some of these extra spaces up here. Shouldn't matter, but there it is. So that's the header. So I'm going to save it, file, save as, making sure that it's in my root folder. I'm going to call it header. Header.php. I'm going to save it. Good. My header is now in place. I have my index. I'm going to go back to the tool, go down to footer. I'm going to grab this right here, copy it. Now I'm going to create the footer file that's going to be included. New, create, delete everything that's in it, paste that, and it's beautiful. File, save as, make sure it's in my root, footer.php, and save that. Lastly, I'm going to go to the tool and get the functions, because the functions is going to create the little widget areas. When you go into your WordPress dashboard, you'll go to Appearance and Widgets. You'll see right here some widget areas that you'll be able to drag different widgets into those. So we have our navigation, our left bar, and our right bar. So I'm just going to grab this. Now there's something that you really have to pay close attention to when you're creating this. File, new, doesn't matter, erase everything, paste in functions, the code from functions. Now here's where you have to be very careful. There cannot be any spaces before this PHP, and there can't be any after. Now look, it doesn't look like there's spaces, but you can tell the lines here, lines 8, 9, and 10, spaces. So you have got to make sure there are absolutely no spaces after that little greater than sign. Well, you need the greater than sign, okay? This is key. Your theme will error out if you have any spaces there. File, save as. Now make sure you spell this right. Make sure it's in the root, and make sure you call it functions. It's a word that a lot of people misspell, but make sure it's functions with an S, not function, functions with a small f. Just like that. It has to be that. There we go. So if we were to go to our Finder and take a look at all the files that we have, okay, we have our background image, our background 480, our footer PHP, our functions, our header PHP, our index HTML, which we probably don't need, but we'll keep it anyway because that's where we created our structure. We have our index PHP, which is the root file, the default file for your theme. You have the screenshot, which is going to show the client their theme, and style CSS. So that's what you should have right now.